This is Jeremy Chapman of the Racing Post with my special preview of the Masters for Stan James. Tiger Woods first, Phil Mickelson second, the rest nowhere. That's what the betting on the 72nd Masters suggests, but is it really going to be that simple? Are the Europeans going to be consigned to supporter acts after dominating this first major of the golfing year for 2 decades, from 1980 to 1999, in those glorious days when Seve Ballesteros, Nick Faldo, Bernhard Langer, Ian Woosnam, Sandy Lyle and Jose Maria Olazabal made the Yanks look, well, like second-raters? Those were the days between the eras of Nicklaus and Woods, when Europe boasted most of the strongest golfers in the world. Today, Woods, happily recovered from yet more knee surgery and back with a victory at the 3rd attempt in his final warm-up event at Bay Hill, is an unchallenged world #1 with 4 green jackets to his name, having conquered Augusta in a record-breaking 1997 and again in 2001, 2002 and 2005. You will note, however, that none of those victories came that recently. The last 3 winners have been Mickelson, the short-hitting Zach Johnson, and 150-to-1 shocker Trevor Immelman, who did very little before Augusta and has done very little more since. Last year's winner was a real head-scratcher, and so was Johnson, who made 11 birdies out of 16 on the 4 par 5s over the 4 days, yet never tried to reach one of them in 2 blows. Some of them were beyond his capacity anyway, on a course blown up to 7,435 yards a couple of years ago, with a number of holes now barely recognisable compared with the ones we grew up with and loved. Perhaps that's the way to beat Augusta, as Mike Weir did pretty well the same thing 4 years earlier. Take the risk-reward element out of the par 5s, which brings about the downfall of so many, particularly when push comes to shove on Sundays, and conquer them with sensational wedge play. Well, Mickelson's wedge play is really less than sensational, and those who took the 12-to-1 during the winter are now sitting pretty, after 2 early season victories by lefty, as he is a lot less than that price now. It has to be borne in mind that in the last 5 years he has won 2 Masters to Tiger's 1, and Tiger has yet to win with the course at its present length. Watching it on TV, you don't get the full impression of Augusta's undulations. It's a very hilly course, and that could be a problem for Woods' dodgy knee. Nobody but him knows whether it is 90% right, 95% or 99%. But 8 months out of the game is a very long time, so we have to assume that the problem was a very serious one. 3 tournaments back, and he has got better each time. But it was via the bits of his game that did not require strain being placed on that knee. The wedge play, the phenomenal chipping, the outstanding putting. That's why he beat Sean O'Hare at Bay Hill. For the rest of it, he was often all over the place. Yet we are talking about a man who can produce miracles here. Here is a golfer so outstanding, maybe the greatest ever, who will constantly defy all logic and prove you wrong, just as he did on 1.5 legs at last year's US Open. Whether you're with him or against him this week, the each-way credentials of Augusta specialist Mickelson are beyond dispute. His form figures for the last 10 Masters read 6th, 7th, 3rd, 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 1st, 10th, 1st, 24th and 5th. Fortunately for form students, this is the one major that is played on the same course every year. Only it's not really the same course anymore, but one monsterised in an attempt to Tiger-proof it. But for Mickelson, the changes have worked to his advantage. And the man has won his last 2 starts after all. And of the others, well, Jeff Ogilvy, twice a winner this year, has to come into the argument as his Augusta form is better than it looks in the record books. If he wins, where Greg Norman so often failed, Ogilvy becomes the first Australian champion of Augusta. Padraig Harrington, twice 5th at Augusta, and with 2 more top 15s to his name, is going for his 3rd major victory in a row, but has the strength of mind and the scrambling wizardry to do anything he sets his mind to if he can keep the ball in play, which is just as much his problem as Tiger's at the moment. 3 at longer prices that I like are Nick Watney, a long-hitting young American who has spent the winter working on his suspect putting stroke and has come out with all guns blazing, producing a victory and a number of high finishes. Also England's cocky Paul Casey, 6th, 10th and 11th in the Masters, and he's only played in the event 4 times. And don't rule out Zach Johnson, surprise winner 2 years ago, whose recent third place to Tiger at Bay Hill could not have come at a better time to advertise his prospects of regaining that green jacket. The secret to Augusta is keeping the double and triple bogey disasters off your card at holes like the short 12th and the 2 back 9 par 5s, where the adrenaline rush encourages the player to take on more than he is mentally capable of. That's what short-hitting Johnson did, and why Immelman took the honours last year. So despite the wide fairways and the relative absence of rough, it is not quite the big hitter's paradise it is often painted out to be. Remember that when you are punting, and the very best of luck.